All right, welcome back, and here we are. We're ready to start inserting some actual content into our portfolio, and we're gonna start with the resume page. And the reason for that is there are a lot of tags that um, will end up styling for this page that will eventually dictate how the rest of our pages turn out in terms of how our headers look and how our regular paragraphs look, and everything like that. So, and there's a lot of tags in this page, a lot of text formatting, and so this kind of sets the stage for the rest of our pages. So we're going to start off with the resume 7-2, and I'm going to tab over real quick and show you. I've got a kind of a resume template, if you will, up and ready to go. And you'll see that there's some things I want to just go over here real quick to show you the types of text that we're going to have to style. So we have obviously your header up here in the top with your name and your address and your email. We also have some other headings like profile and education. We have bullet points. We have just regular paragraph text. We also have, if you remember right, down here in the bottom where we have our computer skills and our references, we put those in a table. So we will also have some tables to format as well. So there's quite a bit of text involved in here in the resume, and this is great for us to start learning how to style all this and insert these in as tags. So there is a quick and easy way we could do this, but we're actually going to go through this tutorial the hard way. We're gonna start by putting each of these in their own tags individually. We could copy and paste, but there's a problem with copying and pasting from a Word document into an HTML document. Dreamweaver has a tendency of either not formatting any of the text at all, like putting them in tags as you want them to, or putting too many tags. There's not a happy medium there. And plus, by doing it this way, you're going to learn how tags work, and I think that's really important as well. So we're going to toggle over to Dreamweaver here real quick, and you'll notice that I don't have a document up yet, so I'm going to make sure that my portfolio is selected in the Files panel, and I'm just going to double click and open up my resume page. And scroll down here, and you remember that we put in these paragraphs and spacings here in a previous tutorial so that we could actually have something have some content fill out our content area. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that out right off the start, and I'm going to be toggling back and forth from the resume document and Dreamweaver document, and I'm using Command Tab to do that, and it's Control Tab on your keyboard if you're using a Windows computer. So I know that my name is going to go into the first tag, and I want my name to be the heading 1 tag for the resume. So I'm going to type in a left caret and type in an H1. And I already know that it's going to be my name, so I'm going to save myself some time and not copy and paste my name into this tag. So I'm going to type in my name, H1, and then at the end there, make sure I open up a left caret and then close that out. And then I'm going to drop down right below that. In the following text, I'm going to toggle back over to my Dreamweaver real quick. The following text underneath that is going to be my address, and I'm going to do that as just paragraphs. Okay, so I'm going to toggle back over to Dreamweaver real quick, and I'm going to type in a left caret paragraph, and then close that out or end that one, and then left caret / to close that tag, and then I'm going to bring my cursor back and put it back in the middle. And then I'm going to toggle back over to Word, and then I'm just going to copy that whole set of text there. So I'm just going to highlight, Command C, and then Command Tab back over, and then Control V or Command V if you're using a Mac. Okay, and then I'm going to paste that in there. Okay, now if we toggle over to Design real quick, you're going to notice something, that all of these lines are going to appear on the same line because they're all in the same paragraph. So I'm going to toggle back over to Design, and you'll see that each one of those the whole address there is in one line. Okay, and you also notice that my name is not popping down below where it should, and we can fix that later on, but in live view it should fix itself. So we're going to go back to code here real quick, and we're going to make sure that each one of these lines ends up on a separate line. Each one of these text like it is in our resume. But to do that, we're not going to end this as a paragraph, because we want these lines to have closer spacing than our paragraph will allow later on. So we're going to set ourselves up for success by that. So instead, at the end of that first address line there, I'm going to type in what's called a break tag. And when I type in a break tag and then end that with the right caret, you'll notice that there is a / there inside that break tag. And the break tag is one of the few self-closing tags in HTML. Okay, so we don't actually need like a second closing break tag. It's a self-closing tag. I'm going to tab our second line of address there, and then do the same thing. I'll type in left caret and then break tag, and then left of the phone number there, and then do the same thing, left caret, and then last but not least, tab that over with our address, or our email address, and then don't need to add a break tag there, because you'll notice that that last line there is the end of our text, and so I just need to close that out with our paragraph tag, and I just move that to after the email there. Now I also need to add an email link to our email address here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this quickly. I'm going to highlight my email address and toggle back over to design view, and in the link box down here in the properties inspector, and if you don't see the properties inspector, you need to go up to window and properties, and I'm just going to type in mail to : and then your email address. And so in this case, I'm just going to do last name student number at district6.org, and then hit the return key, and you'll notice that creates that email link for me. I'm going to drop back into code view here, and you should see that wrap itself around our email tag there. I could go ahead and do that in code view and just type it all in. I just found that was just a quicker method. Okay, alright, so next we're going to drop down a line here, and I'm going to toggle back. I'm going to use my get back over here to my indent space where I should be about lined up there with the paragraph indent there. And next we're going to put in our next piece from the Word document. So I'm going to toggle over to Word, and what you're going to see here is you're going to see that our next one is profile. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go through each one of my headings here and put in each heading as they fall. So I'm not going to do each section at a time. I'm actually going to just go through and put in all the headings all at once. Okay, so I'm going to toggle back over to Dreamweaver real quick. Okay, so I know that I have a number of headings that I got to put in. And since I've already used a heading 1, and I want this heading 1 to look different than all my other headings, I'm going to start off with using heading 2. So I'm going to start typing in H2, and then left caret, and then I'm going to close that. And I could also just come through and just type these in, or I can copy and paste them if I'd like. But what I'm going to do to try to be strategic and save time is I'm going to toggle back over real quick to my Word document and just count them. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these headings. So I'm going to toggle back over to my Dreamweaver again, and so I'm just going to copy and paste this open and close tag 5 more times. So I'm going to hit Control C or Command C on the Mac, and hit return, and then Control V, Command V 5 more times. So 4, 5, 6. Okay. And next, I can just go through and just type these in, but I'm just going to go ahead and toggle over and just copy and paste. And so I'm just going to copy profile and copy that into H2 there, toggle over, highlight education, toggle back, paste, scroll down there, work experience, Control C, Command V or Command C, and the next one down there, and then come down, activities and community involvement, toggle back over, computer skills, and then one last one, references. Okay, so now I have all my headings set up properly, and so next I'm just going to go through and actually put in each section. So I'm going to toggle back over to my Word document, scroll up, and now I see that I have some bullet points. And copying bullet points can be a little tedious doing it this way, but we'll also make sure that we get them in properly. So I'm going to toggle back over to Dreamweaver, and underneath profile or after profile I'm going to click my cursor there and then hit the enter return key, and then I'm going to tab in so that it indents just a little bit so I know that this is inside of or underneath the H2. Just kind of separates it out a little bit and makes it easier to find later on. And so I need to put in a bulleted list, and bulleted lists start off with the UL tag, if you remember back to our tutorial on our navigation bar. So we're going to type in a left caret there, UL, and then right caret, and then hit the enter return key a couple times, and then left caret / to close that statement out. And I'm going to place my cursor up above again, and then also tab in. So then I can start typing in my list item tags. I'm going to go ahead and just put in 3 bulleted list items, but you may put all of them, all 5 if you would like, into this resume page. So I'm going to type in the left caret, right caret, and then left caret /, and then I'm going to do my copy paste action 2 more times. So Control C, hit the enter return key, Control V, Control V one more time, so that I have 3 list items to put in. So then I'm going to toggle back over to Word, and then I'm just going to copy and paste each one of these lines. I'm going to try to make sure that I don't grab anything else but just the text. That way I don't bring in like an actual something else. So I'm just going to Control C, Command C, and then toggle over, and then place my cursor into that first inside of that tag there, and then Command V or Control V. You notice that it brought the bullet point in with it, and it's just a dot, it's not an actual bullet point. For some reason when you do copy that over, it does bring over that actual dot. So I'm just needing to delete that out of there, and then I'm going to toggle back over and then grab the second line, Command C or Control C, toggle over, Command V and I'm just going to continue here until I get all 3 of my web profiles, each one of my profiles. Toggle back over and then paste that in there. So you see that I have my 3 bullet points, and let's go ahead and double check to see how we're shaping up here. So I'm going to click on Design View, and what you're going to see is everything looks just kind of jumbled up all around right now. So just a quick note, we're going to make this look better later on. Right now we just need to get the content in, and then we're going to format the content. We're going to style it later on to make it look better. Okay, so I'm going to click back over to Code View again, so we have our profile section dialed in, and tab over to our Word document, And you'll notice here that we have a couple of different lines here in my format. I have just two standalone pieces of text, and then I have a bullet point with the kind of the description of what Crater High School is. And I think I should put in there Crater High School of Business Innovation Science in that, and I'll fix that when I go ahead and copy and paste it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in as one paragraph, and then I'm going to put a break after that first line where it says Crater High, and then I'm going to drop that down, and then I'm going to put in the bullet point. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and just toggle over to my Dreamweaver here, and after education there, I'm going to hit the enter return key, and then I'm going to go ahead and tab in just so that I know that this section follows underneath H2. If you would like so you can see your code a little bit better, your sections a little bit better, you can go ahead and place your cursor right before the H2 education and then hit the enter return key, and so each of these sections will feel like they're separated out as we go through and put in the text. Okay, so I'm going to type in a paragraph tag, and then I'm going to left caret and then right caret, forward slash that. So I close that out. And then I also know that I'm going to put in a bullet point. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hit the enter return key and then type in the UL tag and close that out. And then I only had the one bullet point, so I'm just going to type in the one list item there. Okay, so I'm setting myself up this way so that when I need to copy and paste it, it'll be a lot simpler. So I'm going to Command Tab and drop over, and I'm going to grab these two lines, and these are on two separate lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a break tag after that first one. So I'm going to Control C, Command C, toggle over, and then in between that paragraph tag, paste it in there. You'll notice here that I have a couple of funky doodads here, and I'm going to delete those two things out, and in place of those hand-typed hyphens, I'm going to actually put in a dash. But in order to put in a dash, I have to put it in as an HTML code. So to do that, or a symbol. So to do that, I'm going to hit the Shift 7 button. So it actually starts out with the ampersand. So it's Shift. So it's the ampersand. You notice that the my code hint comes up, and what I want to do is I want to put in what's called an N dash. N as in nice or neat. So I'm going to type in ND, and you notice that that comes up N dash. That's the medium length dash. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the enter return key there. So that's going to put in the nice clean dash for me between those two things. At the end, after central point Oregon, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to type in that break tag. So left caret break, and remember it's a self-closing tag. So if you hit the forward slash there and right caret, you're going to it's going to close that out for you. Okay, I'm just going to come back here, and where that closing P tag is, I'm going to grab it and move it and put it right at the end of your that graduating date there. And then I'm going to go ahead and tab that whole line over so that it falls right underneath, just for my purposes, so I can see that easy. And then on line 39 I ended up with an extra line there, so I'm going to delete that out. So then next I'm going to toggle back over to my Word document, and I'm just going to copy and paste that description and toggle back over to Dreamweaver there, and then Control V or Command V that in, and then delete back, bullet point out, and I am going to type in Crater High School of Business Innovation, and type in the ampersand science. I could just come in here and actually create a unique style to create this uppercase look, but I find that sometimes we do things unnecessarily and style things over the top when you could just simply do it all in caps and do the same thing. So that's what we're going to do there. So next I have work experience, and work experience, there's a couple more things involved, so I'm going to hit the enter return key right there so I create that space as I had before. and then after work experience I hit the enter return key once again, and then tab in so that I start my next section. So I'm going to toggle over to Word, and I have a couple different sections here. I have Burger King in a paragraph, and then I have the bullet points underneath that. Okay, so I pretty much know exactly what I'm looking at here. So in the first one, I'm going to toggle back over, and I'm going to type in that paragraph tag, and then finish that statement out there by the left caret /, and then I'm going to type in a bulleted list again, and then tab that in for the list items. And this one I believe had 2 list items underneath it, so for first work experience it'll be Burger King there. And then I know I have a second one, so I'm going to drop down and I'm going to type in another paragraph, and close that out right there, and then underneath that I'm going to type in another bulleted list. Okay, so couple things before we come back here. Now I could do something different with this line. I could make this line a heading 3, but you'll have to remember that I also have text following it, and what I really want to highlight is just the name here, right here, Burger King, right? That's the only thing that I want to highlight. And I could do this, like I said before, we could do this by creating a unique style just for that name. In my resume, I have it pretty simple, right? And in terms of the title of the place of where I went to high school and where I worked, I just I'll uppercased it so that it stood out a little bit. There are other ways to make this stand out, and some might require a little more styling. I'm going as simple as I can in this tutorial. Okay, so I'm just going to keep it that way and that's why I made it a paragraph instead of a heading 3, because I didn't want to have to style the rest of the text to follow it as something different. Now you may have another idea, like you may want to do it differently, which is fine. You'll just have to, when we go to the styling stage, you're just going to have to figure that out. Okay, so I'm going to copy that line there, tab over, put that in my paragraph, and you notice that my dashes came in clean, unlike the one the previous. But again, I want to make sure that these are all consistent, and so I'm going to delete that dash out and then type in the correct dash, the symbol for it, and so I hit Shift 7 there, starting off the ampersand, and type in ND, and then I should see the N dash option pop open, and then hit enter return. Now the cool thing is once I've done it once, I can just Control C, Command C that, and delete out those other dashes and just do it quickly to get that out of the way. And I'll show you what this looks like here in just a little bit as we toggle over and see how our page is shaping up. So we're going to toggle back over to the Word document here, and I'm just going to grab each one of these, just responsibility descriptions, toggle back over, and then paste that in there. And then toggle back over, Control C, Command C, toggle back over, and then paste that in there. Okay, so now there's our first set of work experience, and the next one is child care. So I'm just going to grab that first line again, toggle back over, paste that in there, and then grab the description, Control C, toggle back over, and then paste that back in there and delete that little bullet point out. So let's go ahead and check out what we've got going on right now. So far everything just looks really gross. It just doesn't, everything's packed tight together, you can't read anything. And again, in the next tutorial we're actually going to fix that in the styling. So we have couple more left. We have activities and community involvement. If you look at how we've set that up in our page here, you'll notice that we have these in a table. So if you kind of click on that right there, you can't see them because there's no border there. But to make it easier, because we have these kind of in a 2-column table with somewhat of a a header at the top. Um, Oops, I'm sorry, we're on the wrong one here. We're on activities and community involvement. I skipped one. Sorry, go back. We're at activities and community involvement. Here we have just 4 bullet points, right? So that's pretty easy enough. So we're just gonna toggle back over to Dreamweaver there. Go back to code. Apologize for that, getting out of whack there. So I'm gonna put my cursor after or right before activities and community involvement, so I space that out from the work experience just in my code view so I can see how that looks. Again, white space in code view doesn't affect spacing in design view. Only the tags do. So when we have these white spaces where we have blank lines, like on line 54 there on mine, that doesn't actually create a space in the design view. It just creates space in the code, and it helps us read it a little bit easier. So I'm going to tab in there and type in my UL caret, and left close that out, tab in, and we have 4 list items. So I just type that in real quickly, open that LI tag and then close it. And so I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste. So Command C, Control C that 3 more times so that I have my 4 list items. So then I'm just going to toggle back over and do this 1 line at a time. Now I could do this 4 lines at a time, and let me show you what that just looks like real quick and what you'd have to do that. So I'm going to just copy all 4 of those at once, Command C, toggle back over, and I'm going to go ahead and place them in just inside one list item here. And what it's going to do is it's going to do all that, but I'm going to have to go ahead and copy each one of these, and then I'm going to move each one too to make sure that each one goes into the proper spot. So I'm going to highlight that. So this is why I've been doing it one at a time. You'll notice that somewhat this created just a little bit more work for me to some degree to get all 4 in at once. So now I have to highlight and delete all these and then move them into their proper place. So such is the downfall of copying and pasting from a Word document, but it does save us a little bit of time, somewhat. So I'm going to make sure, see how I have all that extra space now where those list items were. So I'm going to make sure I'm delete that out so that all looks kosher again. And you also notice that I have some, I forgot to go in and put dashes in above in our career work experience up above in child care. So I'm just going to Control C that end dash and then make sure that I get through those so that we're all consistent here. And then down here in our activities and community involvement, did the same thing with our dates. Okay. Okay, so now I can actually insert the table for computer skills. So I'm going to drop computer skills down there a line, and then afterwards create that space and hit a return key there and tab in. So I have a little bit of tabbed in on line 64. And then I'm going to tab over real quick and show you what we're working with. We're working with the table, bullet points, and then we also have these guys, which are kind of like headings. Now I can do these as headings, or I can do them as paragraphs. I think it's your call on this one. I might leave it as a paragraph so that later on, if I need to create a new style, like so I can have an H3 available, because that's what I would style this as. If you remember, we have an H1 in our first and last name at the top. We have an H2 in our sub headings there for each of the categories on our resume. And so then this one under computer skills would end up becoming an H3 because it's slightly different than our other headings. But really the only difference here is that it's all caps. So I can just make that a paragraph and then just make sure that they're all caps, and then I have it's still a unique heading, but I'm not taking up a heading 3 slot, so I can style a heading 3 somewhere else as I want it to be. That'll make sense later on. Okay, so this is basically a 2-column, 1-row table. and then we have bullet points inside of that table as well. So I'm going to tab over to Dreamweaver, and rather than coding in a table, because tables have quite a bit of tags involved, I'm just going to do it the quick and efficient way in Dreamweaver and go up to the Insert menu and select Insert Table. And so that I can actually do that from Code View. I can do it from Design View as well. Okay, so there's a couple of things that you need to know about our insert table menu. One is, first off, you need to decide how many rows, how many columns. So remember, we just want one row and we want 2 columns. We also need to decide how wide we want our table to be. We can set it up as a percent, or we can set it up as a fixed width. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and set it up as a percent, and I'm going to set it up slightly smaller than 100%, probably like 85%. And then right now I'm just kind of taking a guess as to where we want this to be. We don't want it to be 100% because we will position our table a little bit to the right so that it indents slightly from the left. The other thing is we don't want a border. We don't want this to show up as a table, so we're going to trick people into thinking that it's not. And so we're going to say border thickness 0. And then down below we have a header option. And you have none left, which will put a header column in the left. You have header on the top, and then you have both. This is helpful if you want to style these sections differently than the rest of your data cells. If you don't want to style them differently, then you just leave them as they are. So we actually don't want to we don't want to style our header. We don't want a header row. We're going to do this all in just 2 columns. So we're going to make it easy on ourselves and just select none, and then we're just going to click OK. So what you're going to notice is that it inserted all the elements, all the tags for us, but it also kind of pushed it to the left a little bit. And so what I want to do is I want to highlight that whole section, and then over here on the left hand side you should see a little indent button. So just hit the indent button a couple of times. Okay. And so basically our 2 dates or column datas are these 2 lines right here. You'll see that whenever you insert a table and you do it from the insert menu, you'll see this little line of and space, and that just represents a blank space, and that tells you where the actual cell is for our data, for our column, for our table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete out that little piece, and then I'm going to hit the enter return key so that, and twice, I'm going to hit it twice so that my data start and end, there's a space in between there. And then I'm going to do the same thing for our other set. So you see, so now I have a space between each one of those, and then I'm going to tab in, and then I know I have a paragraph, so I'm going to type in my paragraph and then close that out. And then I also know that I have a bulleted list, so I'm going to do the same thing as I've done before, and I need to know how many bullet points I need to make. So I have 3 in the intermediate skills, and then I have 4 in the beginning skills. So I'm going to toggle back over. So I have 3 of those. So I'm just going to type this by hand this time, and then /. Okay. And then basically I have the same exact thing for the other cell, only I just have one more list item. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this whole thing right here from the paragraph down, Command C, and then in that other section tab in, and then Command or Control V, and then after that last list item, hit the enter return key, and then type in, I have 4 on that section. Okay, so you see where I'm going here. So next I'm just going to toggle back over to my Word document, and I'm just going to simply copy and paste again. So I'm going to copy intermediate skills, Control C, toggle back over, paste, and then copy and paste each one of these. And then make sure you delete out that little bullet point there. Okay, next, same thing, MS Excel, and that's in our intermediate skills. Oops, I believe I forgot to copy intermediate skill, or beginning skills, sorry. So I'm going to grab beginning skills, copy that, and put that in the paragraph. Toggle back over. Oops, I already copied that one. Dreamweaver, and this would be Dreamweaver CC, by the way. So this resume example is a little bit older. Back in the day when we had CS4, so I'm going to just change CS4 to CC. And Adobe Photoshop. And these are just examples, by the way. Yours should and will look different. Photoshop CC. And last but not least, Adobe Premiere. Okay, and get rid of that bullet point. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out and see what we got here. So you notice that what's nice about the table in Dreamweaver is that if you do a no border, you can still see the table itself. These little dotted lines will represent that it has no border, whereas in Microsoft Word, when you take away the no border, you really don't see the table. Even if you're just doing it, working in there. Okay, so last but not least, we have references, and we're going to toggle back over. And for your portfolio, to keep your references from being contacted by everyone that can access the internet, we are going to change the bottom where we have the 3 references. So instead, we're going to say references available upon request. So I'm just going to toggle back over to Dreamweaver, go back to my code view, and hit the enter return key right there, right before that, so I create space, and then looks like I already have a space there and a tab in there, line 89. So right beneath the references, I'm going to type in a paragraph tag, and then close it right off the bat, and then I'm just going to type in available upon request. Okay. Now, before we move on to our next section, and you've probably already done this in your resume in the Word document, so I'm not as worried about it now, but as just kind of a little aside, Dreamweaver does have a spell check. So if you go up to Commands and select Check Spelling, you can do a quick spell check, and obviously it's always a good idea to do that when you're doing a resume. I'm going to go ahead and skip that part just for time's sake. And for the next tutorial, and I know this was a bit of a long one, but in the next tutorial we're going to go through and style. Click over to Design View. We're going to style this thing. We're going to make this thing look so much better than it already is. Right now it just looks like it's just a group of text that make it really, really hard to read.